The Lord's Resistance Army, headed by Joseph Kony, in their operations, would always attack villages. They would get the able-bodied men and the school-going children, the boys. They would tie them up. They would then force them to do all the heinous acts like cutting off people's ears, noses, plucking out eyes, and they would make sure that they do this beginning with the people's relatives, their close families. Then they would set ablaze the houses, and then they would go with the girls to have them as their wives. These were the kinds of atrocities that the Lord's Resistance Army would commit in the communities. There was a lot also of anarchy by the Uganda People's Defense Forces, because it came to a time when the rebels would always mix up with the people. So the army decided that the people now had to live and be put in camps and be protected in the camps. But you realize that even the army committed much atrocities in the process of evacuating these people. When people were sent to the IDP camps, these people were concentrated in the camps so that they could not be attacked by the rebels, so that they could be protected by the army. Now, it became hard for people to be let out of the camps to go and farm, because even the fields, the rebels would attack them in the fields. So it concentrated a large number of people in these camps who were doing virtually nothing. And they would always depend on food aid, humanitarian aid. Now, this made many youths redundant. So a visit to these camps showed that there's a lot of lawlessness because the youths were redundant, and even the other men. And sexual violations in the camps were grave. So they have to deal with after rape consequences. They have to get the medication, they have the psychosocial support. They have HIV/AIDS itself, which they have to deal with. At the moment, relative peace is returning to the region, but there are issues of transition from the war now to where we are, where the internally displaced persons are returning to their homes. The people that are going back are widows and children. So they are finding it hard to go back, because even when they have to go back, where to start a livelihood is a problem. And two, the children who had been taken as child soldiers are returning in their communities because they have nowhere else to go. So being accepted in the community, they're not being helped to reintegrate. There are not very many programs by government helping these people to reintegrate. Parents in this community want their children to come back. But again, many of these children did the atrocities in these same communities. So when we are talking about justice, we are saying, how can we have those who were victims at first because they were abductees, but now are perpetrators because they committed the crimes? How can they be helped to reintegrate? Such kinds of people do not need prosecution because it wasn't their will, but they are looked at as perpetrators.